The UK is enticing international students by offering them a 2-year visa to work there after graduation, enabling them to secure employment. Lorna Clayton, the managing director for academic families, is urging parents to consider international education since it promotes open-mindedness, global perspective and adaptability. Earlier, Lorna talked to my counterpart, Abdiaziz Hashim, about international education, and this is how the conversation went.
Good afternoon, and this afternoon we'll be focusing on the assessing of the overreaching value of the international education. Now, over the years, the internationalization of the education has involved the movement of students across languages and cultures on unprecedented scale. Now, to help some Kenyan students settle in the education system in the United Kingdom, which is the UK, Lorna Clayton, the managing director, Academic Families Leads, which are currently leading this drive, is currently joining us this afternoon. Lorna, good afternoon, and thank you for making time for us.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Lorna, I'm interested to understand, and now given that while perception of the value of the international education systems are differently nuanced across the globe, explain to us what is the value of the international education?
Well, international education varies. In Kenya, you have excellent education, and much of that is in international schools and with international people.
Yes.
However, when you're overseas, then whichever nationality you are, then you get a different perspective. I think its perspective is the key thing that international education brings you. You're mixing with, in the UK, you're mixing with British students, but also with internationals from around the world.
And indeed, Lorna, there are a few sectors rather in the UK economy which, with the capacity to grow and generate export earnings in terms of as an impressive education system that you have in your country. And is it this is why you're attracting so many students, not just from Kenya, but across the globe?
Oh, I don't know. I think we attract them because the education is very good in the first place. Of course, schools, boarding schools and universities need revenue, and so are always looking for international students. However, I would say that it's actually because that we are leading in a globalized world, and we want to have internationals to come and to help the British population to become more internationalized as well as the other internationals all mixing together. And in the university sector, international students get charged more than UK students. However, in the boarding school sector, in the high school side, then all pupils are charged the same. It doesn't matter whether you're international or you're UK student.
And indeed, there are only limited literature that focuses, especially in our country, on international education. Maybe, is it something that you have leveraged in your country and we could borrow from you?
Well, yes, there is a lot of literature about education, and yes, we also have transnational education where we're bringing the UK institutions to countries, to other countries. So for example, to Kenya. So there is a lot to learn. But to be perfectly honest, your education is also mature, so it is very much about sharing as well.
And indeed, what are some of the challenges that some of these international students go through, and an organization such as yours take and help them through?
Well, I would say the first thing, some people would say the first thing is culture, but I think it actually goes back before then. The first thing is actually getting the right institution for you, and that's where we come in. If you're looking for yourself, you will start by looking at the institutions and seeing, will I fit in? Is this the right one for me? But actually, we work the other way around. We say, well, okay, you want to go overseas for your education. Tell us about you. What are your strengths and your weaknesses? What are your aspirations? Where do you want to go? And then we match and we help you to find the institution to match to you rather than the other way around. Don't you try and fit in. Get them to fit in with you and find the best opportunity for you.
And you know, funding plays a very critical role, especially for students who are going outside the country. So what criteria do you use if a person is unable to pay? What are some of the mechanisms that you have put in place to ensure that you help them to pay what is required?
Well, I know that there are wealth managers, there are institutions in Kenya that will help families plan, and I know that many families plan. Some will plan to go for university education, and some are in a luckier position that they can also go for secondary education, for boarding. In the UK, there tend not to be many scholarships. The scholarships is more a US benefit, but there are different ways. If if you have great strengths in sport in particular, then we will help look for scholarship options.
And what is the other side of that? The benefits that if a student studies in the UK, what are some of these qualities that that person will come back to the country with?
Well, employers will always look for open-minded, international perspective, and skills and resilience and adaptability, all those sort of soft skills that that employers are looking for. And students will get that. They will get a global perspective. If they go at boarding school level, then they will be sharing rooms. They will have to get on with other people. There's a lot that you have to deal with it. If you have an issue, you just have to deal with it and get on with it. They will learn a lot of those skills. If they come at university level, first then they'll be a little bit more independent when they arrive, and they have to find their way, whereas the school leavers going on to university will already have a network. But I think the key thing is that with British university, boarding school goes on to university, it's a pathway, possibly in the UK, possibly around the world, it doesn't matter, the British qualifications will take you everywhere. But once you graduate from university in the UK, you get a 2-year post-study work visa, and that belongs to you, so you don't have to be tied to any employer. So it gives you 2 years of work, of valid work experience, which when you now come back to Kenya, you've not only had that international perspective with your university with your education, but you've also had that experience of working, and you can bring that back with you.
And I'm sure many Kenyans will be wondering, if I get that 2-year visa to work in the UK, for example, in that particular period of time, are there mechanisms to ensure that it can be extended?
Yes, of course, that's what many people want to be, but remember, they've still got to come back to Kenya. But yes, so assuming that you've got a good work placement, a good job for those 2 years, then it's quite straightforward for your employer to sponsor you and to take on that responsibility. You're then tied with that employer because the visa is now with that employer, they are the sponsor. But you've had 2 years to work that out, and so that can be very successful.
As we're entering the final leg of this conversation, maybe tell us testimonies that you've got from family members that you have been able to help.
Oh, I don't know if we've got enough time. I have so many. I'll give you one very good example of Angie, and she was in the Air Force system, and then she knew she wanted an international education, so she transitioned to an international school here in Kenya, in Nairobi, for 2 years and did her IGCSEs. Once she had her IGCSEs, we now helped her, and she went to the UK to sit her A-levels for 2 years. Now she finished school, and with our support, but also with school support, she was able to find the university of her choice. And she's actually gone to part of LSE, London School of Economics, but she's on their Forward College programme, where she's been taught in Portugal, in France and in Germany. And then she'll come back, 2 years working in the UK, and then she comes back to Kenya. Wow. A great international perspective.
Those are just one of the testimonials. Maybe finally tell us, have you been able to work with the Ministry of Education, especially here in the country, to at least cement and ensure the relationship, given that Kenya and UK have a good relationship at the end of the day?
Indeed, we have had conversations, but at the moment where we're at is with the private sector. We'd love to broaden that out to wider, but at the moment it is private individuals who are seeking our advice and can contact us, and then we will help them. We're out in Kenya many times a year.
Thank you so much, Lorna. Unfortunately, that is the time we had for you this afternoon. That is Lorna Clayton, the Managing Director of the Academic Families, who are currently leading this drive in terms of the assessing of the overreaching value of the international education, its impact here in the country and beyond our borders. You've just heard from Lorna, the opportunities out there. All you require is just get on your laptop and ensure that you sign up for those institutions that may require you, or if you want to carry out, like personally, I want to do my master's outside the country, it's something that I could consider. That is all the time we had for you, and of course after the break we'll continue with our coverage.
Thank you.